Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Vigil.
And I'm Emily Carlson. It is the nation's #1 priority, and it is growing in size. Putting wildlife over people. Residents in King Cove say Interior Secretary Sally Jewell is putting their lives at risk by blocking what they call a life-saving road to medical care. Well, Alaska's new cannabis industry is one step closer to storefronts, cultivation centers, and labs right here in Anchorage. Tonight, Assembly members took a first look at proposed zoning guidelines for the budding businesses. KTVA 11's Shannon Ballard explains why they need to act fast. Shannon. Probably the most anticipated announcement in Alaska all year. We're talking the PFD, of course, and we have a prediction tonight. You thought last year's check was good? Wait for it. How does $2,000 sound? That's the number the head of Anchorage Economic Development Corporation predicts. With the recent drop in oil prices, one lawmaker says Alaskans are paying way too much for gas, and he wants to know why. KTVA 11's Daniela Rivera joins us live with that story. Daniela, the Alaska Attorney General's office investigated high gas prices in 2008 to see if price gouging was happening, but found no evidence of illegal activity. Well, lawmakers will have more work on their plates when they return to the Capitol after major cuts to research staff. Mail on a Sunday? What? That's right, it's all to make sure you get your Christmas gifts on time. Earlier today, some good news from Willow, where firefighters at the Sockeye Fire say they are playing offense instead of defense. But today's budget gap is much higher than during the 1980s crisis. The $3.6 billion deficit has the governor calling for a cut to your PFD check. Now, 2 lawmakers agree, but they want to do it differently. Alaska's health commissioner claims e-cigarettes are just as harmful, if not more harmful, than tobacco cigarettes, words that brought the head of the vaping industry across the nation all the way to Alaska. Greg Conley admits e-cigarettes aren't good for you, but he says they're a lot better than tobacco products. APD believes there could be more victims. Call police if you have any information. Tonight, Fisher is in jail on a $100,000 bond. Meanwhile, some shocking new numbers paint a disturbing picture of child abuse across the state. A UAA study found 40% of Alaskan kids who are repeatedly hurt were first abused when they were less than 1 year old. Good evening, I'm Emily Carlson. Joe Vigil is off tonight, swapping parkland for a landing strip. One of the biggest and most complicated land trade ever proposed in Anchorage took a step forward tonight. Now, the city would gain another one-way for the busy airport, but some say what the Muni would have to give up could never be replaced. Well, firefighters are also watching 2 other fires on the Kenai tonight. Both of them started Tuesday night, and tonight, both of them are growing. Alaska's healthcare system for veterans was so effective, the VA modeled its new national program after it. But our congressional delegation claims the Veterans Choice Program is the reason Alaska's current system is falling apart. An Assembly Audit Committee will look into that, but former Mayor Dan Sullivan today told us he thinks all of the funds are accounted for. Mayor Ethan Berkowitz wants to use the remaining money from the UMed project to fix the Port of Anchorage. Mayor Berkowitz killed the controversial project because he thinks it's too expensive. The Arctic Slope Regional Corporation says their recent purchase proves their commitment to Alaska's oil and gas industry. Arctic Pipe Inspection is now owned by ASRC. The Houston-based company inspects oil and gas facilities in the North Slope. ASRC is the largest Alaskan-owned company in the state. It employs about 10,000 people worldwide. The Fairbanks City Council wants to tax people who buy pot in their city. Last night, they unanimously approved the 5% tax on marijuana sales. Bad news tonight for the state's multi-billion-dollar gas line project after a credit agency downgraded Alaska's bonds today. Well, turning to state politics, we are one step closer to a budget agreement tonight after lawmakers compromised on education funding today. $16.5 million in additional education funding was finalized in the conference committee this afternoon. Beneath the surface of Lake Hood is something the Department Department of Natural Resources hoped they would never see. A grim forecast for 2016 today. The state predicts the largest job losses for Alaska in a quarter century. It's the latest in what's been a chain reaction of bad news since oil prices started dropping. Now, we all know that in Alaska, oil is king, but KTV 11's Eric Rubel shows us why economists say even though prices are tanking, no other industry even comes close to dethroning oil. There are hundreds of different kinds of cars on the road and lots of options when it comes to car seats. And if you're like me, reading the instructions can be more than a little daunting. Many of the past 4 days have been nothing but anxiety and worry. KTV 11's Kate McPherson visited the fire zone today and joins us from Houston. Kate. The head of Alaska's Correctional Officers Union says they're being used as scapegoats for problems within the DOC. The union is upset after an investigation into the death of this man, Larry Kobuk. The union says the governor's investigator is trying to pin larger problems in the Department of Corrections on those officers in the video. Meanwhile, the acting commissioner says it is in the process of an internal review. So what did you do when the earthquake hit this afternoon? The USGS says the 5.8 magnitude quake was centered just west of Willow. Converting used oil into energy. I'm Emily Carlson in Kodiak, and I'll show you how the Coast Guard is doing it and saving millions of dollars a year. On July 15th, 2 giant dump trucks will show up here at the landfill and load all of these bags full of styrofoam and bottles onto a barge. The barge will then travel to Seattle, where hopefully some of these items will be able to be recycled. So no doubt it was a historic day here in Kotzebue. People here still milling around, waving their flags, really excited that the president was here in Kotzebue today. Joe, this is a day that they will likely not forget for a very long time. It's pretty quiet here at Kodiak's diesel power plant, but that's actually a good thing. If the engines here were running, they wouldn't just be loud, they would be expensive. So if all that dirty oil wasn't recycled here on base, it would have to be shipped all the way to Seattle to a tune of $48 million a year. It's green energy that translates into a lot of green savings. It's October, the end of whaling season, and Kivalina, the sliver of sand and gravel 83 miles above the Arctic Circle, should be surrounded by ice.
There's been a couple winters where we thought the ocean was not going to freeze. Just recently. Didn't freeze till February.
Rising temperatures are melting sea ice, shifting the migration patterns of animals these Inupiats rely on to survive.
I just put them in and put fences on.
Elder Lucy Adams.
This is bearded uguk skin. What do we call for bottom? Yeah.
Doesn't have enough seal skin to make mukluks.
They did not get me even one bearded seal.
8 for my family. 8 is good.
Scientists believe Kivalina will be the first casualty of climate change in the U.S.
It's just frozen dirt. And when you take away the ice and the freeze, it doesn't have a whole lot of structural strength, and it goes real fast.
Last month, the runway nearly washed out after an overnight storm. Temporary protection holds up the crumbling land.
They shouldn't have holes. They're going to fall apart.
But it's no match against this foe. The airstrip is the only way in and out of Kivalina.
If we lose the use of the airport, we're stranded here by ourselves without Western food able to come in.
A short ride down the sand spit is a stronger barrier. Federal dollars paid for this revetment wall in 2008.
We looked at this when we put it in as a 15-year solution. We're approaching that 15 years.
Dave Williams says Kivalina will likely be underwater in 10 years, but it could be a lot sooner.
They could be one storm season away.
The McQueen School is Kivalina's emergency shelter, a safe haven from those nasty storms. But without sea ice to mute its force, the village is exposed. Just a short walk between them and the rock wall
52 feet.
that is certain to fail.
We need to get off the island when there's a storm, just to save the lives of our people.
But Tribal President Millie Hawley is overwhelmed by the cost. $40 million for a mile-long causeway.
We can't afford that. We're thinking about and talking about life safety here.
The government doesn't pay for projects linked to climate change. Kivalina won't see any money until disaster strikes.
We're like a drop in a bucket for them, and they don't pay attention to drops in buckets.
If I wasn't in the position that I am now, I would have gone already. I would have moved my family away a long time ago.
Kivalina will lose their land, their homes, and their way of life to the powerful ocean. The only uncertainty is when. Lots of red, white, and blue line the streets of Kotzebue.
Or tie these onto the bottom part.
Here at Little Louie's restaurant, owners hope their festive welcome draws the attention of the president.
I'm just excited that he's coming. I mean, you know, shoot. The first one to travel above the Arctic Circle. Oh, excuse me.
But they're too busy putting up decorations to stop and talk.
No red, white, and blue, and it's exciting to have the president come.
And on 3rd Street, kids practice waving flags, hoping they get a glance of the commander-in-chief. Teachers try and wrangle even younger tots during a run-through at Nikatcho Elisigvik. Nikatcho is the only Inupiat immersion school in the entire country. Tonight, these tots will sing on a world stage for their VIP guest. Recognize the tune? It's My Country 'Tis of Thee, sung in Inupiat. And they've been practicing nonstop for the past week.
President Obama, are you excited?
Yeah.
They know there's something big going on, and they can feel it.
During breakfast time, most kids were more interested in their pancakes than POTUS. But this 3-year-old told me she's got a gift for the president.
I gotta hug him.
You want to hug him?
Hospitality Kotzebue Hope shows the entire world that the people of the Arctic are warm.
So the kids from Nikatcho Elisigvik, they just performed their song, My Country 'Tis of Thee. It went okay. They stopped for a bit in the middle, and one kid broke out and said, "Hi, Dad." Overall, it's just a really big celebration here. There's about 900 people here in the gym. There's about 3,200 people that live here in Kotzebue, so of course not everyone could attend this event. Hundreds of people flew from all over the state of Alaska, thought they could be here. I spoke to an elder from Golovin. He traveled 200 miles and spent hundreds of dollars to get here, and he didn't get a ticket, so he's outside. But here inside, we're waiting for the president, and we will carry his speech live whenever he steps up to the podium. Joe.
One of the elders summing it up well. You're